Hello fellow creatives, welcome or welcome back to Seed. Okay, so as you can see from the title and the video, we're going to be making this beautiful baby doll dress. So it's a baby doll dress that has a cam collar, cap sleeves, button down, and three tiers. So as you can see, it's really flowy, really this thing, and yeah, I just love how it turned out. So if you want to see how I made this dress, then make sure you keep on watching. Alright guys, so the first thing you want to do is that you want to get your basic bodice pattern pieces and you want to trace them out up until the bust line. Okay, so as you can see for the back panel, I omitted the zip allowance since I'm not going to be adding zip allowance to that, and I'm just ensure that I put the allowance for the shoulder seam there so that I know where to start my shoulder. So from the shoulder, I'm just marking where I want my yoke to start. So I actually went for 5 inches for this, but I wish I went lower. So I suggest that you go lower, probably about like 7 inches is fine so that it doesn't like stand at the top of your body. And then as you can see, I'm just marking the straight line for the front panel as well as for the back panel. Okay, so for the front panel, I wanted to have a little bit of curve. I actually wanted it to have more curve than this, and if I had went to 7 inches, then it would have been more curvier than this. Okay, so that didn't happen, but as you can see, I'm just going down from my neckline on my front panel by 1 inch, and then I'm just going to use the curve ruler to just connect that point there like so. So once I was done, I just went ahead to cut it out like so, and then I was cutting it out, but I did not cut out the yoke just yet because I still wanted to cut out the facing part. Okay, so as you can see, I just went ahead to just trace this out now on another pattern paper, and I'm going to be using that as my facing. Okay, so as you can see, I was just cut this out. I divided it into the front panel and the back panel, and then I just labeled it like so. Okay, so now once I was done with that, then I went ahead to cut out the yoke. So I cut out the yoke for the front panel and I cut out the yoke for the back panel. Okay, so for this one, you actually want to keep the bottom pieces. Okay, do not throw them away because we're going to be using them later on to decide to mark out the armhole part. Okay. So I am done cutting all of the pieces out. So the first thing, which is the pattern that we just created, so for the front panel I cut it like I didn't cut it on a fold because that's where we're going to have the buttons, right? Yeah, so for the front panels I didn't cut it on a fold and I have two pieces, while for the back panel it's good, it's on a fold, so it's just one piece. Okay, while for the cap and for the sleeves I just cut out my pattern. So I cut out 4 layers so that I can turn each side of the sleeve with its own facing. Yeah, so I just cut one panel for the sleeve and then one panel for the facing. Yeah, so that's 4 layers all together. But for this one, so I just cut it according to the measurements on the screen, as you can see. So I just labeled them so that I don't get mixed up. Now I'm looking for the label. Yeah, see right there. So this is 1, then this is 2, and then this is 3. Okay, so I have my 3 layers ready to go. While for the facing, so this is the facing for the bodice. So I cut out for the front panel 2 pieces. I was supposed to cut out the back panel piece on fold as well, but I forgot to do that, so I just cut out 2 pieces with allowance so that I can just join it together and it will become one piece. Since it's inside, it won't really show like that. So yeah guys, that is literally it for all the pieces that I've cut out, and yeah, see you when it's time to start sewing. Alright guys, so once I was done with cutting everything out, this is what I had. So I had to join some pieces together so that I will have a very long piece, and I joined those pieces together using French seam, okay, because I wanted it to be really neat inside and I didn't want it to have any, I didn't want to have to overlock and just make it look messy and all of that. So in order to do the French seam, you just want to join the pieces with the wrong sides facing each other, with the right sides out, and then sew a very small seam with like a seam allowance of like 0.25 inches. And then once you do that, then you're not going to turn it over so that the right sides are facing each other, and then you sew on it. Okay, so what this does is that it creates a very neat seam finishing for the seam that you're working with. So once that is done, let us move on to the bodice. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to get your yoke pieces and you want to join them with the right sides facing each other and then sew the shoulder line together. So once you sew them together and they're one piece, you want to go ahead to open it up. And what you're going to be doing is that you are going to be adding the gathered piece, the first layer, to the yolk. Okay, so what you just want to do is I want to get the gathered piece and I want to gather it when you're gathering stitch or whichever method you're using to gather. You want to gather it and just join it accordingly to the front panel and the back panel pieces. Okay, so once you do that, you should have something like this. And then once you are done with that, you're going to go ahead to get your pattern pieces. You know those ones that I told you that were at the bottom that you were not supposed to throw away. Yeah, we want to use that now. So what you want to do is I want to divide it into your back panel pieces. So you want to take a back panel piece and put it on a fold, and then you're going to get that pattern piece and then just mark out the rest of the armhole there. Okay, so that you can have a piece, so that your armhole can be complete now with the gathers at the bottom. So you just want to cut it out like so, and then you want to do the exact same thing for the front panel as well. And then once you do that, you should have your front and back panel pieces with your normal armhole. And then after that, you want to go ahead to sew the side seams of that piece. Okay, so what you want to do, I used a French seam because I wanted all my seams to be really neat and all of that. And yeah, I do not regret it because it just came out really nice and really neat. So yeah, as you can see, it's really nice and really neat. So yeah, once you're done with that, then next thing for you to do is just to join all the other layers. So you want to take the second layer of the fabric that you have. You want to gather it and gather it and gather it until it fits to the bottom layer. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is that you're not going to be gathering the bottom at all, you're just going to be gathering the top. Okay, so as you can see, for the first piece that we have there, you don't want to gather it at all. You just want to gather the piece that you're going to be joining to it. Do you understand? So you want to gather it until it's the exact same length with the piece that you have, and then you want to join it with the right sides facing each other. And then you're just going to join all the pieces together with the right sides facing each other and just sew them together till you get to the other end of the dress. So to start sewing the cap sleeves, you want to divide them into the right side and the left side. Okay, so for the right side, you're going to take two pieces and then join them together with the right sides facing each other. And then we're just going to be sewing all the way from the top there. Then we're going to sew like that and like that. Okay, so once you do that, you should have something like this. And you just want to turn it over to the right side so that you have the vibrant part showing up for all of the pieces. Okay, and then it's time to attach the cap sleeve to the dress. So as you can see, I went ahead to do the left side, so I'm going to go ahead to do the right side with you guys now. So the first thing you want to do is I want to get the middle part, the middle of the sleeve at the cap head. So you just fold it into two and then just notch it with your scissors so that you have the um notch very visible like so. So once you do that, you want to get your dress, and then you're just going to get where the armhole, where the shoulder for the armhole starts, like at the top, and then you just want to align the notch with that part there. So once you do that, then that is when you take it to your sewing machine. You want to start at the middle there so that it will be quite even on both sides of the sleeve. You don't want it especially whereby one side will be shorter than one side just because things moved around. So just start from the middle and then just work your way all the way down. And then once you are done with that side, then you now take your sewing machine and then you start again at the middle, and then you just work your way down again. So now that you've sewn the sleeves, you want to go ahead to sew the collar. Okay, so the first thing you want to do to sew the collar is I want to measure the neckline, the full neckline that you have. So once you get the full measurements, just measure it with your tape roll, just turning it so that you can accommodate the curves. And then once you measure that and you've gotten your full length, you want to remove 2 inches from that. Okay, and this is because we are going to be having and this is because we're going to be having that gap between the collar stand and between the original neckline. Okay, so apart from that, we also wanted to have a curve, right? So what you want to do is that you want to go inwards by one and by half an inch on the top there, and you want to cut it in a way that you'll be able to have this arc like so. Okay, so that is what is going to give that curve that we have, and voila, as you can see, the color is already looking like a color, isn't it? So yeah, if you didn't cut it with the right sides facing each other, you want to turn it to the right sides facing each other, and then all you're going to do is you're going to sew all the way like so, just to the sides together like so. And then once you do that, you just want to turn it over so that the right sides are facing outwards and the curves are curving. Yeah, so once you do that, you want to get the middle part as well, so you just want to fold it into two, and then just notch the middle of the piece like so. And you want to do that for the neckline, the back neckline as well. Just fold it into two and then just notch it. Okay, so once you've done that for the two of them, you just want to align the two of them at the notches there and just pin it down. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be sewing from that middle part again, and then you're going to be sewing all the way down until you get to the other side of the neckline. As you can see, you should have that gap so that the collar will come out well, and then you want to sew the, and then once you're done with that side, then you go to the other side as well. And once you're done with that, you should have something like this. So right now it is time to attach the facing to the dress. So what you just want to do is that you want to put your back panel with the right side facing up, and then just join the front panel pieces to the back panel pieces with the right side facing each other, and then just sew all the way at the shoulder. All you need to do is sew at the shoulder at this stage. And once you've done that, you want to place it with the right side facing up, as you can see, and then we're just going to be joining the facing with the dress. Okay, so as you can see, you would want a situation whereby the collar is going to be in the middle of the two panels, which is the collar is going to be in between the facing and the actual dress. Okay, so you just want to align them at the points where you see notches, you align them at the shoulder parts, you align them so that everything turns out well. So for this one, you can actually start from the side or you can start from the middle, whichever one tickles your fancy. And once you're done with that, you want to go ahead to top stitch on the lining piece, top stitch the allowance on the lining piece so that the lining piece does not go out, like it doesn't start coming out and out of the garment. And once you're done with that, you should have something like this. Okay, so I noticed that the facing that I had was a little bit too bulky, and it just made the dress, kind of like, just stuffy. So I just cut it out, like I just cut it so that the bulk would be less, and I just cut it in like a rectangle kind of thing, and then I went ahead to hem it. Okay, so after I hemmed it, I also went ahead to use bias binding to just conceal all the raw edges of the gather so that everything just looks neat and nice. And as you can see, it was looking really nice. I was really, really happy. So yeah, and then to finish off the collar, what you want to do is that you want to take the facing and the piece at the middle, and then you just want to fold it in, like open it up, fold it, and then you're not going to fold it vertically again so that you would have a pointy corner. Do you understand? Open it up, fold it, and then fold it vertically again so that you have a pointy corner. And then once you do that, you're just going to sew all the way down like so. Okay, you're going to stop stitch at the end, at the edge of the piece like so. And then once you're done top stitching, you want to stop, and then you're not going to go ahead to leave a wider seam allowance, roughly about like 0.5 inches, 0.75 inches. It depends on how wide your buttons are, because we're going to be using that as the button stand and the buttonhole stand. Okay, and you guessed it, it is time to start marking where we're going to be placing the buttons and the buttonholes. Okay, so I just started from where I started from, like where I started this wide seam allowance from, and then I measured 2 inches each. Okay, so I was working with really small buttons, not really small buttons, but I was working with small buttons. So that is why, if your buttons are big, you can opt for 3 inches, 4 inches. It depends on how big your buttons are, but my buttons were small, so I just measured 2 inches difference on each side. And then I just went ahead to first of all practice my buttonholes. I would suggest that you do this as well so that you don't do the wrong thing on the actual dress, especially if you've not done it in a while. And yeah, so it really worked for me. And then once I knew that, okay, I had that, I went ahead to sew the button as well on the dress and see if it would actually enter this thing. Okay, so I did a test run on the dress and it came out nice, so I just started doing it for the other marks that I made as well. And then once I was done with all of them, this is what the button stand was looking like for all of the buttonholes that I created. And then it was time to sew the buttons as well. And then once I was done with that, I just went ahead to sew the hem of the dress at the bottom like so. And voila, that is that for the dress. And then once I was done with that, this is what the dress is looking like. So as you can see, it's really really beautiful, really really easy going. It's something that I'm really going to wear a lot of gets a lot of wear out of, because it's just like easy to wear, really breezy and all of that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really really do appreciate your support. Please and please make sure that you like, make sure that you comment, make sure that you subscribe and all of that. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.